This is the shyest and most introverted girl you've ever met, and her name is Meura. She constantly faces bullying from the popular girls at school. On the flip side, there's Meura, the most handsome boy in school, known for being a heartthrob to girls who just want attention. But he's also the protector of the girls who need help. Now, the burning question is, can these two really make it work together? Let's find out. Meura is tired of being the target of jokes because of her shyness. She needs to decide which high school to enroll in. Meanwhile, Meura, the charming blonde boy, is the school's popular kid. With his bright yellow hair and a soda bottle always in hand, he catches the attention of many girls. However, his popularity also brings envy from some girls, who start making fun of him because of his hair. To respond to their taunts, Meura decides to pop open his soda and spray it on the girls who provoke him. It's at this moment that we meet Meura. She happens to be passing by just as Meura sprays the soda, and the drink soaks her clothes. Meura stands frozen, unsure of what to do, while other students rush to help her dry her uniform. Meura, surprised to see her, takes a moment to apologize, only doing so after someone prompts him to be polite. Embarrassed, Meura bolts away without looking back, but Meura can't stop thinking about her, wondering who she is. Meanwhile, Meura isolates herself, blaming herself for what happened, as if it were all her fault. Let's take a moment to understand what's going on in this girl's mind. Does she have some form of autism, or is her shyness just a part of Japanese culture? We may never know for sure. What we do know is that at home, she has a bulletin board where she writes down some goals to challenge herself. This week's first goal is simple: to say good morning to people. For many, this might seem easy, but for Meura, it feels like a nightmare. The next morning, Meura arrives at school early, before the other students, and starts practicing how to say good morning to make it sound more natural. However, during one of her attempts, someone responds from behind her. And guess who it is? Yes, it's Meura. Meura freezes up, like a computer that crashes. He approaches her and asks if she's ignoring him. Then, he has her repeat good morning letter by letter. Although he seems a bit intimidating in the scene, he's also sweet and kind. Meura manages to repeat it, but Meura teases her, saying she sounds like a parrot. Soon, other students arrive for class, and two girls, Angloe and Yumi, sit next to Meura. Still nervous, she manages to say good morning to them, even if hesitantly. It's a good start, right? Later, the girls swoon over Meura while he plays basketball. Meura is there too, but the other girls push her aside. It wasn't intentional, but it left her feeling isolated, and she struggles to react to how people treat her. At least at home, she managed to complete her goal from the board, and now she's ready for the next challenge. But to her surprise, some girls from her old school have also enrolled at the new one, and they're not friendly at all. One day, she's approached in the hallway and starts getting insulted. She stands frozen, hearing the cruel nicknames those girls give her, like Rock. This happens because she freezes up every time something bad occurs. Meanwhile, Meura is watching from a distance and clearly doesn't like what he sees. Later, Meura heads to the lost and found to get her shoes, which her mean classmates always throw in there. They wait on the balcony to watch her rummage through the trash. She simply lowers her head and leaves without saying a word. Suddenly, Meura passes by her and starts offering words of encouragement, showing that he's bothered by the way she's being treated. He asks her who she thinks she really is, and Meura starts fidgeting, saying she feels like a rock, always silent when provoked. The next day, Meura encounters the same girls in the corner of the school. One of them, named Nanako, tells Meura to go buy her food. Once again, Meura responds in silence, which irritates Nanako. Then, she pushes Meura, causing her to fall and drawing everyone's attention. Meura, who is nearby, crouches down next to Meura with a worried look and says that if she needs help, he's willing to assist. Fed up with being mistreated, Meura finally breaks down in tears and asks Meura for help. He gently strokes her face and issues a warning to Nanako and her friends. And it works. The girls back off without saying a word. From that day on, Meura is able to go through her days in peace and makes new friends, Manhoto and Hiro, who are also friends of Meura. One day, while they're chatting, Meura ends up falling asleep on the table. The girls, curious, want to learn more about Meura, who opens up about her experiences at her old school, where she was always bullied and had no friends. For her, going to school was a terrible experience. In her mind, she believes that not reacting is a way to protect herself from attacks. Moreover, she thinks that not asking for help prevents problems for others, but she ends up neglecting herself. The conversation flows well, and her new friends manage to show her that not everyone is as cruel as some insist on being. However, Meura, who has been watching the conversation, wakes up and hears everything. On a random day, the teacher decides to rearrange the desks in the classroom, and Meura ends up sitting next to Meura in the front row. From that day forward, he discovers that Meura is a smart student and starts to develop feelings for her, feeling the urge to protect her at all costs. This gives him a brilliant idea, to use his popularity to help Shermore improve everyone's grades, encouraging more people to get close to her. And it seems to be working. Now, everyone is approaching Shermore, and she no longer feels so alone. She notices that Kaio is giving her attention, which intrigues her. Simone, the friend who always laughs, starts to suspect that Kaio has special feelings for Shermore, but Kaio denies it all. Behind his handsome facade, he carries a secret that weighs heavily on his life. In truth, he has been looking for Shermore, but it seems he has vanished within the school. One time, Shermore finds a lemon soda bottle thrown in the trash and suspects that Kaio might be hiding in a room that seems to be out of use. She enters the room, searching for him, when suddenly she steps on something on the floor. In the back of the room, she finds Kaio sleeping peacefully. He usually disappears for long stretches at school, and when he's startled by Shimori's presence, he's surprised since no one has ever found that hiding spot. But instead of getting mad, he finds it amusing that she discovered him in such a dusty place. On a sunny afternoon, Shermore invites Kaio to join her friends at a cafe where they plan to study for an upcoming exam. Kaio and his friends need Shermore to explain the material, as she is good at it. Soon after, a girl named Serena, along with her two friends, approaches the group. Serena is Kaio's ex-girlfriend, and even after they broke up, she remains friendly with him. But suddenly, one of Serena's friends makes a jab, implying that Shermore isn't worthy of sitting next to Kaio. This infuriates Shermore, and in a moment of anger, she splashes water on the friend, who storms off offended. Serena decides to leave to avoid further conflict, but Shermore asks her to stay, insisting that the issue isn't with her. Still, Serena apologizes and leaves with her friends. Shortly after, on the school rooftop, Serena is with her friends, who demand an apology for the water incident. However, Serena feels justified and doesn't want to apologize. At that moment, Shermore appears and defends Serena, saying she was just trying to protect someone from injustice. At this point, Kaio, our platinum-haired hero, joins Shermore in defending Serena. Serena's friends, realizing the situation isn't going their way, decide to leave. But Shermore notices something. Kaio is still giving special attention to his ex-girlfriend, which makes her feel insecure. She starts to feel bad about herself, thinking she isn't as pretty as Serena, who seems so perfect. What she doesn't know is that Kaio finds her special and cares for her deeply. One afternoon, Shermore and Serena started talking, and it was then that Shermore learned more about Serena's past. She shared that, at the beginning of school, she suffered a lot because she was bullied and chased by other girls. People would write her name on desks with harsh and cruel words. Kaio always stood up against these injustices and helped Serena, and since then, she had come to depend on him. However, Serena realized she needed to change because she couldn't always rely on others for protection, which is why she and Kaio broke up. Shermore asked Serena if she still liked Kaio, but Serena replied no, even though it didn't sound very convincing. This left Shermore worried, and she began to avoid Kaio without giving any explanations. At school, the teacher announced that it would be the last day of classes before the summer break. Shermore said goodbye to Kaio as if she would never see him again. However, one day while she was at a festival, Kaio grabbed her by the arm and asked for an explanation. Shermore froze, but Kaio didn't give up and continued to look into her eyes, waiting for a response. At that moment, he noticed she was nervous, fidgeting with her hands. He took her hands and said that even if she wanted to be a rock, she should be a precious stone, as that was her true value. Kaio's words made Shermore cry, and once again, he acted like a true gentleman, wiping the tears that streamed down her face. The summer break ended, but Kaio led a double life, working as a bartender at night. This made his life quite chaotic, as he had to support himself and often fell ill due to stress. He missed school for several days, and Shermore became worried. This time, it was she who decided to take care of him. She finally took the initiative to visit Kaio after school. When she arrived at his apartment, she found the poor boy very sick, with such a high fever that he fainted in her arms. Shermore cared for him, cooked, and stayed by his side. After spending the entire day with him, she began to realize she never saw Kaio's parents. When she asked, Kaio made up an excuse, saying they were abroad. Once Kaio recovered, he returned to school, and as always, the girls started flocking around him, all trying to get the attention of the handsome guy. This made Shermore uncomfortable as she noticed the girl's excitement around Kaio. Kaio's friends also warned him about the danger of his popularity ruining the relationship he was building with Shermore. Because of this, Kaio decided to write in a notebook about his feelings, making it clear that he would always need her and would seek her out wherever Shermore might be. But this still wasn't enough to convince Shermore, who didn't feel confident about being with him. So, she asked a friend for advice and began to understand that she needed to express her feelings. Determined, Shermore hopped on her bike and pedaled quickly to find Kaio. When she arrived, the two shared a passionate kiss. The next day, they showed up at school holding hands, and that was all Shermore needed to prove to her rivals that she was with the most popular guy. Yet, there was something complicated about their relationship. Shermore and Kaio were different. She was a bit shy and introverted, while he was extroverted and very laid back. Negative comments about them began to surface, but still, the couple officially announced their relationship in front of everyone. As the days went by, the bond between Shermore and Kaio grew more fun. They spent a lot of time together studying and visiting their favorite places. However, soon enough, problems began to arise. When Escalating wrote a question in Kaio's diary about his family, the blonde boy's expression changed instantly. He became gloomy, which made their relationship a bit tense. Kaio fell silent and refused to hang out with his friends. His change in behavior even worried Escalating. So, Escalating decided to find Shermore and told her that Kaio was working part-time at a bar. Concerned, Shermore rushed to the bar where Kaio worked. Upon arriving, she stopped at the door and saw Escalating standing at the entrance. As soon as Kaio noticed her presence, he approached and asked her to leave. They began to argue. Shermore wanted to know why Kaio was keeping his job a secret. For him, the nightlife at the bar was a very different and bohemian world that he thought wasn't suitable for Escalating. On the other hand, Shermore felt she had the right to know where he was, given that they were dating. Kaio felt uncomfortable with Shermore's attitude, sensing that she was meddling too much in his life. Without reaching an agreement, Kaio walked away, leaving Shermore confused and upset. Time passed, and Christmas Eve arrived. The festive atmosphere infected everyone around, but Shermore and her friends were celebrating without Kaio, who was acting mysteriously and had no contact with them. Still, seeing pictures of Shermore having fun touched Kaio's heart. He felt an intense desire to see his great love and realized how much her presence meant in his life. He was wasting too much time away from her. Determined, Kaio quit his job and ran toward the place where Shermore was. Unfortunately, when he arrived at the celebration, he found only her friends. Shermore had already left. Seizing the opportunity, Kaio apologized to his friends for keeping his personal life a secret and for not giving them the attention they deserved. His friends were understanding and said they got where he was coming from. But more than that, they revealed that Shermore was heading to the place where Kaio was. Without wasting any time, Kaio borrowed one of his friend's bikes and pedaled off after Shermore. The two met a few moments later, and Kaio finally answered the question Escalating had written in his diary. The next day, while holding back tears, he shared with her that his mother had passed away when he was only 3 years old. His father disappeared when Kaio was in his final year of school. Since then, he had been living alone and hid this part of his life because he was afraid that the people he loved would leave him again upon learning about it. Shermore, moved, promised Kaio that she would always be by his side, no matter what happened. They would have to fight and show the love they felt for each other. This was the story they wanted to have, filled with overcoming challenges and love. And so ends this part of the story. Remember, dramas are just a way to visually appreciate what you should do in life. Love. That's what everyone really wants and needs. In dramas, just like in life, time passes more quickly than we realize. Don't wait for the final act to appreciate, forgive, love, help, and be better for those around you. If you enjoyed this, hit the like button and subscribe if it resonates with you. Hugs and all the best. Now, check out this other video that's playing on your screen.